Good afternoon and welcome to the live proceedings of the Senate. This being the 5th day of December, the year is 2023. A broadcast brought to you courtesy of the collaboration Broadcasting Corporation in conjunction with the Parliamentary Broadcasting Unit. My name is Gladys Mungai, and I'll be taking you through the highlights in the order of business this afternoon. Senators are set to resume debate on the T Amendment Bill. This is Senate Bills number 1 of the year 2023 by Senator Wakili Hilary Sigei. After consideration of the amendments proposed in the T Amendment Bill, the senators will then move into division where they'll be voting on the bill with the respective amendments proposed in the bill. After consideration of the T Amendment Bill, the House will then go into the Committee of the Whole, where a couple of bills are set for consideration. There will be a lot of resumption of debates on bills before the committee. Given priority is the Equalization Fund Appropriation Bill. This is Senate Bills number 30 of the year 2023 by the Chairperson, Standing Committee on Matters Finance and Budget, Senator Ali Roba. The County Licensing Uniform Procedures Bill, Senate Bills number 9 of the year 2022, is equally another bill at the Committee of the Whole. This afternoon, the Committee of the Whole is also set to consider the Manx Bill. This is a bill by Kitui Senator Enoch Wambua, as well as resume debate on a bill by nominated Senator Maureen Tabitha Mutinda on the Agricultural and Livestock Extension Services. And this is Senate Bills number 12 of the year 2022. This afternoon, senators are set to consider a motion on the report of the Select Committee on the County Public Investment and Special Funds on its consideration of the audit reports of the water service providers for the year ended 30th June 2019, 30th June 2020, and 30th June 2021. This motion is spearheaded by the Chairperson, Committee on County Public Investments and Special Funds, that the Senate adopts the report of the Select Committee on the County Public Investment and Special Funds on its consideration of audit reports for the year ended June 30th, 2019, 2020, as well as 2021 for water services providers. These water services providers in questions are Amatasi Water Services Limited in Vihiga County, the Bomet Water Company Limited in Bomet County, and the Gusii Water and Sanitation Company in Kisii as well as Nyamira counties, and the Kisumu Water and Sanitation Company in Kisumu County, and Nyeri Water and Sanitation Company in Nyeri County. The committee laid its report on the table of the House on the 23rd of November 2023. The report of the 146th Assembly of the Interparliamentary Union, IPU, and related meetings held in Manama Kingdom of Bahrain from the 11th to the 15th of March 2023 is equally another motion set for consideration by senators this afternoon. If you're just joining us, the business of the Senate is just about to commence. Senate Speaker Honorable Amason Kingi is presiding over the business this afternoon. Allow me to hand you over for this live broadcast brought to you by KBC and PBU.
Na baraka sisi watumishi wako ambao umeridhika kutuita kwa nyadhifa za uongozi katika jamhuri yetu. Tukuomba utuajalie tuyatende na kufikiria mambo yote yatakayofikishwa mbele yetu kwa njia ya haki na uaminifu, ili kustawisha amani, ufanisi na heri ya nchi hii yetu na wale ambao haja zao umezikabidhi mikononi mwetu. Amen. Clerk, do we have quorum? Sergeant at Arms, kindly ring the quorum bell for 10 minutes.
Senate Speaker, Honorable Amason Kingi, presiding over the business of the Senate this afternoon, has directed the quorum bell be rang for 10 minutes. And this 10 minutes directive is to give some sort of a leeway for senators within the presence of parliament to make their way into the chamber this afternoon to necessitate the House to raise the requisite quorum to commence business. According to the standing orders of the Senate, at least 15 senators are required to be in the chamber at any particular time when the House is sitting. As you wait for that number to be attained, allow me to keep giving you briefs on what is expected from the chamber this afternoon. And senators are also set to consider a motion on the declaration of cattle rustling as a national disaster and the establishment of a special fund for victims. This is a motion by the Senator for Baringo County, Honorable Senator William Cheptumo, that are aware that cattle rustling is a major menace and security a threat in the south as well as north and eastern northern rift region, as well as some other regions in the country, and concerned that the menace has since left irreparable as well as negative social economic impact, which include but are not limited to increased number of widows, widowers, orphaned children, poverty, displacement of people, leading to internally displaced persons, disruption of educational or programs, and other economic activities that cattle rustling be declared as a national disaster. The Senate has attained the quorum. Allow me to hand you over for the live broadcast.
Order number 3, messages. Order number 4, petitions. Order number 5, papers.
Mr. Speaker, sir, I beg to lay the following papers on the table of this Senate today, the 5th of December 2023, being, Mr. Speaker, the Kenya National Commission on Human Rights 2021-2022 annual report, and 2, the Ministry of Youth Affairs, Creative Economy and Sports 2022-2023 scorecard report. I thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Next order.
Mr. Speaker, sir, I beg to lay the following paper on the table of the Senate today, the 5th December 2023. Report of the Standing Committee on Energy on its consideration of Energy Amendment Bill, Senate Bill number 42 of 2023. I beg to lay.
Next order, clerk.
Order number 6, notices of motion. Order number 7, questions and statements.
Senator John Methu.
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker. I rise pursuant to Standing Order 53-1 to seek a statement from the Standing Committee on Land, Environment and Natural Resources regarding the registration of Lake Obosat as a national reserve. In the statement, the committee should, 1, explain the status of registration of Lake Obosat as a national reserve, giving the status of surveying and beaconing of the land around the lake. And number 2, outline any measures in place by the ministry to conserve the Lake Obosat ecosystem, including the protection of the streams feeding the water into feeding water into Lake Obosat. I thank you very much, Honorable Speaker.
Senator Wakoli. That statement is dropped. Senator Essie. Senator Boni, kindly approach the chair, please.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Request for a statement on career growth paths for teachers on contract. Mr. Speaker, sir, I rise pursuant to Standing Order 53-1 to seek a statement from the Standing Committee on Education regarding the career growth paths for teachers hired by the Teacher Service Commission on contract terms. In the statement, the committee should, 1, state the total number of teachers currently employed by the Teacher Service Commission on non-permanent and pensionable terms, and state how many are hired per each year of recruitment. 2, explain whether these contract employed teachers are eligible for employment within the TSC on permanent and pensionable terms, and ascertain claims that they are discriminated against during regular replacements, recruitment or employment of PNP teachers by the TSC. And finally, provide any plans in place by the TSC for career progression to ensure growth and advancement in the careers of these young contract employed teachers, and indicate where in the TSC human resource policy or TSC regulations such a plan is captured. Senator Esther Okenyuri, MP, thank you.
Now we'll go back to statements pursuant to Standing Order 52. We ought to have started with those, but they were not listed. Senator Boni, kindly proceed.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, sir, I rise under Standing Order number 52-1 to make a statement on a matter of general topic of concern, namely the progress made in the betterment of this nation and Kakamega County in particular since the general elections that were held in August 2022. Mr. Speaker, sir, on the 8th of December 2023, this week, the Senate will proceed to a recess to mark the end of the second session of the current Parliament, a year and 2 months after the hotly contested 2022 general elections. Mr. Speaker, I am truly grateful to the people of Kakamega who voted me in as their senator with more than 300,000 votes. I'm grateful, Mr. Speaker, to the Speaker of the Senate and to the Senate membership in general, including the staff who have made our work a stunning success. Mr. Speaker, in particular, I want to thank fellow senators who have allowed and supported me in the discharge of my responsibilities as the Majority Whip. Ladies and gentlemen, colleague senators, I thank you. Mr. Speaker, sir, to the people of Kakamega, I would like to address them on the following issues. One, Mumias Sugar Company, the sugarcane growing sector, and the sugar industry. Two, infrastructure in Kakamega, and Kakamega Teaching and Referral Hospital. And finally, Mr. Speaker, on the matter of housing and Kakamega Airstrip. Mr. Speaker, sir, as we all know, the sugar industry has gone through very difficult times. Farmers of sugarcane continue to endure difficulties that are very well known to all of us, ranging from the high cost of farm inputs, expensive labor, low payment per ton of the produce, and difficulties in accessing harvest permits, not to mention corruption within the sugar industry. Mr. Speaker, I have fought against all these challenges with the support from some of our elected members of parliament. I am glad to inform you that the future looks bright. I want to thank Butali Sugar Company and West Kenya Sugar Company, who have been accommodative of some of our demands and requests for betterment of the sugar industry. I also want to thank Mr. Sarbi Rai, the new investor of Mumias Sugar Company, for the zeal he has demonstrated for revival of Mumias Sugar Company. He has put the nucleus estate under Ken, and on 1st of this month, the new investor in Mumias has started crushing Ken. We are indeed grateful. Furthermore, Mr. Speaker, I would like to thank the President of the Republic of Kenya, His Excellency, Dr. William Samoei Ruto, for his support in stamping out cartels from the sugar industry and writing off the debts amounting to 117 billion shillings that was owed by sugar companies, therefore allowing the companies to start on a clean slate. Allow Mr. Speaker to say, we will never forget that Mambo Matatu was born in Kakamega. Mr. Speaker, sir, I'm pleased that we go to recess. Butali Sugar Company and West Kenya Sugar Company have announced an increased payment rate of 6,020 shillings per ton of cane harvested and delivered by farmers, with a commitment that farmers be paid within 7 days. I'm even more grateful, Mr. Speaker, to the new investor in Mumias Sugar Company, who has announced a higher payment rate of 6,030 shillings per ton. Similarly, I wish to congratulate the investor in Mumias Sugar Company for his unprecedented cane development program, as evidenced by the thousands of acres of nuclear farm that he has put under cane development. Mr. Speaker, I would like to note that the Senate is currently working on legislation from the National Assembly that seeks to improve sugarcane farming and the sugar industry. Even with all the progress registered, there is still much to do, particularly with regard to the importation of sugar that ultimately impacts negatively on the sugar industry. I therefore urge the President and the National Treasury to develop a friendly sugar importation policy that, Mr. Speaker, could include an opportunity for sugar outgrower companies to be sharing in the benefit of importation of sugar when there is a deficit. Mr. Speaker, on the matter of the road infrastructure, I'm pleased that the President has lived up to the manifesto which committed to improve road infrastructure. In Kakamega County, this is evidenced by the ongoing upgrading to bitumen standard of the Ikoli Kimanget, Malaba Samiti Navaholo Chebuyusi Road, and the Tarbo Seregea Soi Road. The government plans to also complete the Lurambi Shikoti Ingode Nambaja Dorfu Muskoma Road C41 that was advertised on Monday of last week. Mr. Speaker, I would like to plead with the people of Kakamega to appreciate that the government cannot fix all our roads in one financial year. I therefore urge them to be contented with the completion of the above roads in the meantime before embarking on the other deserving roads. Mr. Speaker, I want to thank the governor of Kakamega County, His Excellency, sorry, I beg your pardon. Mr. Speaker, I want to thank the former governor of Kakamega, His Excellency Honorable Wycliffe Ambetsa Paranya, for having initiated the expansion of the former Kakamega Provincial General Hospital into a 750-bed capacity hospital. I also want to thank Masinde Muliro University of Science and Technology for establishing a medical school at the university. It is my dream to have a medical school of Masinde Muliro University of Science and Technology to partner with the former Provincial General Hospital to ensure that we establish the Kakamega Teaching and Referral Hospital. I thank the President for his commitment towards this and Masinde Muliro University and Science Technology for this, so that we can realize this project. I would like to urge the current governor of Kakamega, His Excellency Fernandes Barasa, to see the big picture and hand over this project to the national government and see the hospital become a level 5 hospital in our region that would serve 6 million people. Mr. Speaker, on housing, I would like to thank the President for kicking off the construction of 4,000 acres houses under the affordable housing project in the Milimani area of Kakamega County in Kakamega Town. The works are now underway and everybody is happy. I urge the President to stay the course. I'm aware, Mr. Speaker, of the hue and cry of the former residents of Milimani area over the ongoing demolitions of their houses. And I want to assure them that once completed, the ongoing project will mitigate the current pain, which will include them being given a fast charge on the ownership of the new houses. I urge the President to go the whole hog and ensure the successful flushing out of all land grabbers, particularly with regards to Buhungu Stadium, former showground land, the approved school land, Mudiri Estate land, Otiende Estate land, and they are all in the possession of land grabbers. These land grabbers must be repossessed off to pave way for the current ambitious plan of development. On to the final matter, I'm saddened to report to the people of Kakamega that the governor of county government of Kakamega and 12 members of parliament from Kakamega County resolved to halt the expansion of Kakamega airstrip that is situated at Iwichena in Mranda Ward in Shinyalu constituency, on the pretext that the county government could not afford the 400 million meant to compensate the residents to pave way for expansion of the airstrip. I vehemently opposed this resolution and note that it is cheaper to expand than to build an entire new airport. I would also like to report that I sought a meeting with the President, at which meeting he agreed to fund half of the 400 million shillings budget to the project. This agreement was communicated to the governor of Kakamega by Cabinet Secretary Kipchumba Murkomen. Thereafter, the governor, together with the majority of the members of parliament from Kakamega County, further resolved at a meeting in a hotel in Mombasa that a new airport be built altogether in the Shukusa area, a position that was presented to the President through a memorandum. I refuse to be part to this misadventure, given the tortuous process of acquisition of land from forest to pave way for the airport. And I am afraid that the future of the airport now remains bleak. Mr. Speaker, I would like to assure my people that the fight is not lost and to reiterate that he who fights and runs away indeed lives to fight another day. I thank you, Dr. Boni Khalwale, Senator of Kakamega County. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, allow me, while still on my feet, to make a statement on the death of the former MP for Bungoma South constituency and MP of Kandui, the Honorable Lawrence Sifuna. Mr. Speaker, I rise pursuant to Standing Order number 52-1 to make a statement on a matter of national and general topic of concern, namely the demise of former Bungoma South and former Kandui Member of Parliament, the Honorable Lawrence Sifuna, who passed away on Saturday while undergoing treatment at an Eldoret hospital. Mr. Speaker, we are seated here as a Senate, being a product of decades of constitutional reforms that can be traced to the relentless fight by our second liberation warriors in the 1990s and the 1980s. Mr. Speaker, these men and women risked limb, lamb, and property to demand greater freedoms, free speech, and sustainable constitutional order that could protect our democracy. Without them, Mr. Speaker, we would probably still be under one-party dictatorship with an emasculated parliament. When the roll call of honor of these great sons and daughters of the struggle for freedom will be unleashed, I dare say, Honorable Lawrence Simiyu Sifuna will without doubt take his place of pride. Mr. Sifuna is survived in this house, Mr. Speaker, by his nephew, the distinguished Senator of Nairobi, Edwin Sifuna. Mr. Speaker, I note a lot of Kenyans have kept abreast with the political history. Will certainly remember the famous phrase of the 7 bearded sisters that was coined by the former Attorney General, Sir Charles Njonjo. Honorable Njonjo was referring to an indomitable cast of parliamentary firebrands and debaters, which included the honorable members and of the following creed: Lawrence Sifuna, James Orengo, Abuya Abuya, Onyango Midika, Koiki Omwere, Chibule Watsuma, and Moshengu Mochofi. What may not be clear to many today is that this name was based on 7 members who were uncompromising in their stand when national issues came up to the floor of this house, where they were fearless, principled, and defended the people. This group sowed the seed of liberation that would germinate in the restoration of a multi-party democracy in 1992. There is no gainsaying that the contribution of Honorable Lawrence Simiyu Sifuna was an integral part of this. Mr. Speaker, outside Parliament, Honorable Sifuna was a certified public accountant, a farmer, and a perennial defender of sugarcane farmers' rights. Sugarcane farmers are much poorer today without him, as indeed his recent absence from the public scene has coincided with the decline of the sugar sector under the weight of mismanagement and corruption. Mr. Sifuna is dying in shame about Nzoia Sugar Company. This charisma of gift of the gift
of Masinde Muliro. Bungoma is known to be the home of Wamalwa Kijana. Bungoma is known to be the home of Dr. Mukisa Kitui. Bungoma is known to be the home of Captain. And Bungoma is known to be the home of Edwin Sifuna. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Senator Wamatinga.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker, sir. I also like to support the statement by Senator Boni Kalware. Indeed, people like Lawrence Sifuna, Jido Matiba, Charles Lobia, and the rest did shape the history and the destiny of this country. Mr. Speaker, sir, in the spirit of the demise of Lawrence Sifuna, who has been fortunately survived by a very strong politician in the name of Edwin Sifuna, with whom I sit in one committee, his commitment to liberate this country, irregardless of the party position he holds, Mr. Speaker, sir, is something that we as senators are very proud of. Mr. Speaker, sir, having said that, it is also indeed very important that we note there are politicians who need to learn from the likes of Lawrence Sifuna. Those who wait until the president is out of the way, out of the country, and then they list national assets and put them for sale. Mr. Speaker, sir, we want to urge these leaders who sit near the high offices that it's important to note that it cannot, and we cannot accept them, to put such an important national heritage like the KICC for sale. Mr. Speaker, sir, I want today to add my voice. I want to join the likes of Lawrence Sifuna. I want to join the likes of Koigo Amwere, that we cannot let a few people take it for granted that they can do or live what they want to do in this country. Mr. Speaker, sir, it is becoming quite unfortunate that a few individuals, Mr. Speaker, sir, whom we've worked with so hard and promising the Kenyans that will ensure the cost of living comes down, Mr. Speaker, sir, instead of them working with us in tandem, they are going and auctioning anything that they can lay their hand on. This we must stand as a house and oppose. Mr. Speaker, sir, today I want to start in the same spirit of Lawrence Sifuna and say this country belongs to all of us. It cannot take our parents so many years to put things where they are today, and then we get to hear, Mr. Speaker, sir, people bought edible oil that is toxic. They spent billions of shillings. This cannot be sold. Mr. Speaker, sir, it is time that we call these people and tell them enough is enough and they must stop. Mr. Speaker, sir, it is such a moment when we are given an opportunity to reflect on the things that are happening in this country, that we ask ourselves, are some of these people serious? Mr. Speaker, sir, just the other day, I led a statement from none other than one of our colleagues who's been sitting in this house, a Minister of Infrastructure and Transport, saying that centers, cars that have been bought by hustlers, that they should be banned from the road. Mr. Speaker, sir, I ask, are we losing our senses, Mr. Speaker, sir? When must we realize that we must work for Kenyans? Mr. Speaker, sir, in the same spirit of Lawrence Sifuna, I want to tell Kenyans that yes, we must stand up and we will not let anybody take advantage of you. We are going to pursue justice until we bring it to the logical conclusion. Because this is the spirit, Mr. Speaker, sir. When we are gone, like Lawrence Sifuna is gone, we want somebody to stand in this out and say, he stood as a senator and stood for the justice of the people. I start to be counted as those who will fight for the justice of the people, irregardless of the people who are pushing and waiting. Only when the president is away of the country, they put national assets for sale. It is unacceptable, Mr. Speaker, sir. And I urge my colleagues to stand up and oppose this. Thank you, Mr. Speaker, sir.
Senator Eddy.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Indeed, it's a solemn day. And Mr. Speaker, first of all, may I take this opportunity to pass my sincerest sorry to my colleague, my friend, my mentor, and indeed a leader who has really guided us in the side of the opposition side, Senator Sifuna. I know it's a very, very tough moment because I understand where he has drawn some of his strength in terms of how he sees the world. And indeed, they say the apple does not fall far away from the tree. We have seen the character that Sifuna brings in politics, not only in this house, but also in the country, that indeed there is somewhere that he fetches it. But Mr. Speaker, you know, being a young person in this country and reading books, left-wing politics has been one of the hardest politics to be in, because left-wing politics is indeed related to defiance. Left-wing politics is related to being against the system always. But also left-wing politics can be about being able to stand for social justice, being able to stand for economic equality, and being able to fight inequality in whichever form that it comes within our borders. And these are the characters and things that represent Honorable Lawrence Sifuna. Because if you read history of this country, Mr. Speaker, we stand today in a very strong democracy because of the giants that came before us. And I wish that that spirit can be able to inspire us, that indeed, when it comes to left-wing politics, we can be able to stand and have a country where ethnicity cannot be the functional equation for being able to employ others. Mr. Speaker, our country today, you will find that two tribes are grossly overrepresented in terms of employment. And these are things that Lawrence Sifuna did fight against. Mr. Speaker, today in Parliament, we find that the vibrancy of Parliament is extremely compromised, simply because the tenets of democracy, which includes being able to separate the idea of executive from Parliament, is completely compromised, because today Parliament becomes an appendage of the executive, to the extent that parliamentarians that have been sent into these two houses that we see today, the Senate and the National Assembly, Mr. Speaker, are hugely compromised, bending laws to the executive, Mr. Speaker. Some of the laws that we have passed in this house, in the Senate, Mr. Speaker, that are against the spirit of devolution have been passed because we are constantly and inclining our politics to the politics of being covered by the executive, Mr. Speaker. And lastly, Mr. Speaker, I want to say, and I want to celebrate my leader, Raila Amolo Odinga. I know that I will not bring him into this, but I want to celebrate him in the context of the idea that democracy does not always mean that even if you lose elections in a number of times, then you give up. I say this because in the early 1990s, Mr. Speaker, Lawrence Sifuna went back home after being affected by a lot of Mlolongo movements and still won a number of elections that inspired generations. And I hope that we can learn from him, and as a people, being able to start fighting for electoral justice as one thing that this country has never been able to solve. Even as we go on with the elections that we are going to have in future, even after the talks that we have had, the bipartisan talks, that the hardest thing that we have been able to crack, even in the talks that have just ended, is the issue of electoral justice. And I hope that the spirit of Lawrence Sifuna will inspire the topmost leadership of this country, starting from the president to the deputy president to Vigogo wa siasa, as the Swahilis will say it, to be able to solve one issue that can unite this country, that after an election, Mr. Speaker, a country can sit back, that anybody who loses will lose genuinely, and anybody who wins will win genuinely, and people sit together and build a nation on the tenets of a functional democracy that has been elusive to this country for years. May the soul of Honorable Lawrence Sifuna rest in eternal peace. I thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Senator Methu.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker, for giving me this opportunity. I think I want to join my colleagues. I want to support the statement that has been read by the Senator for Kakamega, Senator Boni Halwale. I would want to also join my colleagues in sending my most sincere condolences to the family of Lawrence Sifuna. Honorable Speaker, I have not had an opportunity of meeting the very honorable gentleman, the late Lawrence Sifuna. But from what I have heard and from what I've read since I learned of his demise, Honorable Speaker, this is a very successful politician, Honorable Speaker, and all of us, especially those of us who are in this house and in the other house that are young, Honorable Speaker, we have so much to learn from the Honorable Lawrence Sifuna. Honorable Speaker, having been elected for the first time in 1978, was re-elected in 1983, was rigged out in 1988, and was re-elected again in 1992, Honorable Speaker, and that he even ran for office in 2022 to become a senator for Bungoma, Honorable Speaker, it tells you the man and the mettle which made this man, great man, Lawrence Sifuna, the former member of parliament. So I send my most sincere condolences to the family, and especially our colleague, the senator for Nairobi, Senator Edwin Sifuna. The many good things that have been said about the late Honorable Lawrence Sifuna, Honorable Speaker, are a reflection in the man who is the Deputy Minority Whip, Honorable Edwin Sifuna. Honorable Speaker, just like Senator Matinga has said, when we just joined the parliament, Honorable Edwin Sifuna was not a very tolerant politician, because he actually believed that we must see things in the lens that he sees things, Honorable Speaker. He actually did not believe, and maybe even to this minute, he may not even believe that what we in the majority see is not what he sees. But over time, and me being with him in the Public Accounts Committee, he has been able to appreciate that in the same vigor, in the same mind, in the same spirit that you think that maybe your party or your side is the best to shepherd this country, Honorable Speaker, is the same spirit, is the same effort, is the same energy that I feel that the right person to shepherd Kenya into prosperity is none other than Dr. William Ruto. I'm very happy, Honorable Speaker, that over time, Honorable Senator Sifuna has been able to appreciate that that shall be the position that we in the majority side will take. It is the position that they will take in the minority side, and we can always disagree, but we can always speak our minds out. Honorable Speaker, I feel very bad that I didn't know Honorable Sifuna, the man that I know today, on the days that we joined this parliament. Honorable Speaker, he was fronted by his party to run for chairmanship of a committee, Honorable Speaker, a committee that I serve with him, Honorable Speaker, and I work very hard to ensure that he is defeated, Honorable Speaker. I am very sorry that I didn't know him then. Maybe what I know now, if I knew that then, maybe he would have gotten it easier, Honorable Speaker, because he had actually the blessings of his party. We worked very hard to ensure that we split the members of his party so that he does not win. But those are stories that, and I regret that are not helpful at this moment, Honorable Speaker. So I echo the sentiments that have been made by my colleagues, Honorable Speaker, that it then shall be asked, after we have left this parliament, after we have left this space of politics, Honorable Speaker, what then will be written? If anybody will read a statement like the one that has been read by Senator Boni Harwale, what will be said of Senator John Medhu when he was a member of parliament of this House, Honorable Speaker? What will be written about me when I'm not a member of this Senate, when I'm not, when I've retired from politics, Honorable Speaker, when I've met my maker, Honorable Speaker, because I'll not live forever on this earth, Honorable Speaker? What will be said? What will be left about the men, Senator John Medhu? So I send my condolences to the family of Lawrence Sifuna. I send the condolences to my brother, Senator Edwin Sifuna, and all of you. Please, may God comfort you and your family, and may the spirit of this great man rest in peace.
Senator Wambua.
I thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I want to join my colleagues to pay glowing tribute to the late Honorable Lawrence Simiyu Sifuna, and thank Senator Boni Harwale for reading that statement on the floor of the House. The Speaker, lately, Senator Harwale is beginning to see the light. And he's saying things as they are. And I see he has also infected Senator Matinga. And the Speaker, if that infection goes round, then this country will be a better country to live in. The Speaker, how I wish we could say the same things about our colleagues when they can still hear it and do something about it. I've heard Senator Medhu, a young man, a very hardworking senator, with a bright future, saying that he doesn't know what will happen when he's gone and what people will say about him. I want to correct him because I'm his senior, that I wish we could all work towards doing things today that great things will be said about us while we are still alive. We all go through moments, Mr. Speaker. And today I was following proceedings in the US. And the President of the United States of America is a worried man because the Senate is about to deny him funding for assistance in Ukraine and Israel. And the Republican Party, the senators from the Republican Party, are ganging up against a motion to continue with that support. And the president must find a way of talking to the senators to unlock that funding. Mr. Speaker, how I wish we'll get to a point as a Senate of the Republic of Kenya, walking, Mr. Speaker, in the footsteps of Lawrence Sifuna, Honorable, that the leadership, the top leadership of this country will have sleepless nights thinking the decisions that we make today, what will the senators say and do about those decisions? Mr. Speaker, because the Senate of the Republic of Kenya is not a lesser Senate than the Senate in the US. We have what it takes, Mr. Speaker, to be able to hold leadership to account for the benefit of the people. I want to say something about Honorable Lawrence Sifuna. He played in the big league. He played in the same league with the late Kijana Wamalo. He played in the same league with the late George Moseti Anyona. The same league with Martin Shikuku. The same league with Koigi Owamwere. The same league with Kennedy Kiliku. People who believed that they are leaders not because of personal benefit, but for this country, to take this country forward. And even in the young age, Mr. Speaker, as I said, we all go through moments. And I'm happy that the late Honorable Lawrence Sifuna has left behind a courageous, a strong, a fearless, a trustworthy leader in the name and character of Senator Edwin Sifuna. That even in his young age, Mr. Speaker, Senator Sifuna is focused and he knows what is good for his people and he pursues that which is good for his people. He has not suffered a lot of midlife crisis like my friend Senator of Narok is suffering some midlife crisis. If you look at the hair that he's wearing. But Mr. Speaker, Mr. Speaker, we have a duty of care in this country to stop behaving, Mr. Speaker, as though we are in a rush. We're in a rush, Mr. Speaker, to finish up with Kenya as we know it today in preparation to get into another Kenya. This country, Mr. Speaker, belongs to each one of us. This country, Mr. Speaker, belongs to our children. This country belongs to our children's children. And as the former president of America said, Mr. Speaker, I want to quote him, President Obama, that the times that we are living in today are borrowed from our own children. We have a duty, Mr. Speaker, to safeguard the interests of this country, to safeguard the interests and the assets of this country, Mr. Speaker. And as I conclude, I want to thank Senator Wamatinga for seeing the light and speaking openly about it. We cannot auction this country, Mr. Speaker, for immediate benefit. Who sells assets like the Kenyatta International Convention Center? Who does that, Mr. Speaker? Who sells the Kenya Pipeline Company? Who does those things, Mr. Speaker? I want to thank the team in Kenya Kwanza who have seen the light and they are saying over our dead bodies, these assets will not be sold. Mr. Speaker, I thank you.
Senator Chute.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. As I was watching YouTube last night, I came to know that Honorable Lawrence Sifuna is dead. And Honorable Speaker, What I didn't know was the gentleman seated over there, Senator for Nairobi, is related to Lawrence Sifuna. And I now know where this ability comes from. It is genetics. Let me also thank Senator Khalwale for bringing this motion. Honorable Speaker, when I saw the video, I went through history to check what he did during his time in Parliament. Honorable Speaker, I was surprised to know that a very few members of Parliament then, when things were so bad, you cannot even talk against the then government. We had people like Kwege Wamwere, James Orengo, Abuya Abuya, Chibulo Osuma, not forgetting people like Onyango Midika, Mashengo wa Machofi, Philomena Chelagat Mutai, Maria Soronei, and Martin Shikuku. Honorable Speaker, we in this Senate are 47 elected members of Parliament. What we need to know, history must remember us as what have we done for this country. Honorable Speaker, these 47 senators are representing 50 million Kenyans. And I would want always to ask myself, am I representing people or am I representing an interest? Interest of an individual or my party, whether it is ODM or UDA. Honorable Speaker, if you look at what Lawrence Sifuna has done, he was elected when Bumula, as the first MP for that constituency. Of course, he lost the seat to Morris Mahanu, who was then Northeastern PC. I remember him when I was very young. And he recaptured his seat in 1992 under Ford Asili, if I'm not wrong. And he's an accountant, international accountant, Honorable Speaker. And Honorable Speaker, if you look at history, those people who are gone, I think they decided to fight for this country, but not for their stomachs. If you fight for your stomach, if you fight for yourself, you cannot fight for the country. It cannot go together. You either choose to eat or choose to fight for this country. Honorable Speaker, Honorable Senator Matinga talked about the oil. If you can remember, Honorable Speaker, I brought a statement to this Honorable House 5 months ago. And I had all the documents that shows that this oil, the government has lost billions of money. And so many people thought that this guy from Marsabit, what is he talking about? But today, they know this guy, the senator from Marsabit, is talking about money in billions that are lost under a deal which is supposed to reduce the cost of living in this country. Instead of reducing the cost, Honorable Speaker, instead of reducing the cost, a few people sat in a hotel in Dubai and exaggerated the price to the tune of 30%. Those oils now, cans and drums, are laying in over 11 godowns, and it can be sold. Honorable Speaker, 2 days ago, KEBS had a certificate that shows that this same oil was declared unfit for human consumption and should be returned to the sender in 30 days' time, within the 30 days. If not, the government will take responsibility. The responsibility will go to the importer, but the entire consignment will be destroyed. And that consignment is going to cost the people of this country billions of shillings, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, I would want to urge these distinguished senators, let us not talk about issue of which party you come from. Let's talk about this country. Let us put our country, Kenya, and the people of this country as our number one priority. Because what is happening now, Honorable Speaker, people are very uncomfortable about the issues that is happening in this country. Honorable Speaker, the way I am seeing, we are heading back to the Nyayo era. Why am I saying so? If you look at when the president is away, you've seen people have decided to sell properties that belong to the people of Kenya. The property that is being sold belongs to the people of Kenya. The government is just holding brief for Kenyans. It is not the government, it's not government property. It is the people of Kenya who owns whatever is in this country. Honorable Speaker, I talked about some months ago, I talked about the property, Pakistan, in Mombasa. As we speak, Honorable Speaker, that land is gone. The people of Kenya have lost billions of money. I also want to thank Honorable Halwale, who also contributed to the issue of Pakistan. And Honorable Speaker, you know, some people forget our Honorable Halwale, who is here, that he has also contributed a lot to this country. But because he's alive, these people, you see, Honorable Speaker, they will start talking after he has died. They say, oh, he's good, he's like this and this. Let me say today, the people I mentioned earlier is also amongst those people. He has contributed heavily to this country, and of late, he has started being very neutral. This is what we should be, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, I'm seeing something, Honorable Speaker, in this country. There is a trend that it is our time to eat. Honorable Speaker, can you please ask Cherargei to...
Order, Senator Boni and Cherargei. Senator Chute, your colleagues are on queue, so kindly conclude.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Now, let me conclude by saying, let me give my sincere condolences to the family and friends of Honorable Lawrence Sifuna and my colleague here, Senator for Nairobi City County. Asante sana, thank you very much.
Senator Professor Jenda. Senator Olekina.
Mr. Speaker, I thank you. I'd like to join my colleagues in eulogizing a true left-wing politician, someone whose contribution to the public service will be remembered because of his unwavering dedication to fighting for the rights of those who are underprivileged. Mr. Speaker, when I was growing up, the late Honorable Lawrence Sifuna played a critical role in shaping the life of many people in this country who went against the status quo. When he was fighting against the government policies, when people could not dare do that. When he was criticizing the former Attorney General, who was very, very powerful, the late Charles Njonjo, in terms of policies that we are witnessing today. Mr. Speaker, I would say that it is the spirit of the late Lawrence Sifuna which is now troubling us. It is the one which is making us restless, such that you can hear my good friend, my chair of energy, criticizing a government which he helped form. Mr. Speaker, it is important and it is imperative that we remain committed to fighting for those people who have given us an opportunity to be seen, to be able to represent them in this august house. Mr. Speaker, my good friend, the Deputy Minority Leader, stood up here and he said many things. And for me, I just want to remind him what the Bible says. The Bible in Timothy 4 verse 12 says that let no one despise your youth, and the youth should be allowed to explore their life, even to keep the kind of hair they want to keep. Mr. Speaker, when we stand here now troubled by the spirit of the departed soul, the late Lawrence Sifuna, when we are talking about all the challenges, what is so hypocritical, and allow me to be as candid as I want to be, is that I'm seeing my colleagues from the other side of the aisle criticizing policies of the government which they advocate on a daily basis, and they would not even dare say, thank you, the Right Honorable Raila Amolo Odinga, for going to court, to stopping this menace. This culture of trying to line your pocket to a point where you think when finally you depart, you will go with all the assets that you amass in this world. Mr. Speaker, what is ailing this society now, this country? I'm telling you, I don't even know why we should stand here and all of us just blame Ruto. No, it is the legislators who passed those laws. All the challenges we're going through, it is us. Can we please bring a mirror and look at the mirror? And you look at the mirror and you say, if KICC sold, it is me to blame. Because what is Ruto? He's the president, yes, but you are the one who will give him the power to sell it. So I think we should stop lying to Kenyans and to be honest, and now with the spirit which is troubling us, of the departed soul, a true left wing who fought for the rights of the people who suffer. Let it continue troubling us to a point where we will say no. Because they're the ones who shape the future of this country, really. They are the ones who started fighting about liberation. Mr. Speaker, it saddens me a lot to see most of us stand here, whether you're Jewish, whether you are Hindu, Christian, or whatever religion that you profess, to stand here and start blaming someone, not knowing that it is you. It behooves you as a person to be able to leave this world a better place. Today we are being very spiritual, and today I'm being extremely spiritual. But in Psalms 116:14, the Bible says that I will pay all my vows to the Lord in the presence of all his people. So I think it's about time now we start asking ourselves, what is enough? Is our salary enough? We've talked about the issue of the oil. And what people don't know is that our financial institutions, especially the ones which are partly owned by the government, are being brought down to a halt. When a government pushes a financial institution to open a letter of credit for 20 billion shillings, and then what happens? They import the oil, The oil comes here, it is frozen, and then the manufacturing companies which were manufacturing it before, who were told what you are manufacturing is substandard, are now forced to buy. You know, the problem is this: we don't like being honest. They are being forced to buy so that they can reprocess. No wonder people say, what is happening in this country is that we are slowly killing ourselves. We are now, in fact, when I was coming in, I saw a small clip of someone saying that, listen, we voted for a government that will slowly kill you by, you spend most of your time taking care of yourself. You go to clubs, you avoid getting HIV, but then you go home, you buy oil that will give you cancer. But don't worry, you can borrow from the Hustler Fund 500 to be able to do what? To go to the hospital. But no, when you go to the hospital, there are no medicine. So you die, you forgot that you don't have 1,500 shillings to be able to buy what? To pay for your death certificate. You leave that problem to all your neighbors. People speak sense. Mr. Speaker, this spirit which is making us restless today, of left wings, I want to beseech my brothers, my dear brothers from the other side of the aisle, and even some who on this side, who believe in just selling and just supporting every policy that comes in without thinking about the consequences and the other unintended consequences. May the spirit of the departed, Lawrence Sifuna, as he rests in eternal peace, as he leaves us in this country where we've decided to rape it, we've decided to destroy it, may it trouble us to a point where we will wake up from our slumberland and remember that we must be our brother's keepers. I want to hear my chairperson not only coming here to be able to eulogize the late Lawrence Sifuna and take the opportunity to castigate policies of a government which he really advocates for. I want to hear him proceeding further and questioning every single decision, so that when the Lord decides to call us and we all go, someone will sit there and say, yes, he did this and this. Otherwise, we will not be remembered. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Senator Kisang.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, on behalf of the great people of Elgeyo-Marakwet County, I want to take this opportunity to convey there and my sincere condolences to the family of late Lawrence Simiyu Sifuna, whom I knew while I was in school reading about him. And recently I came to know that he's a relative to my colleague who is also a member of the Energy Committee, Edwin Sifuna. May his soul rest in eternal peace. Honorable Speaker, during the time of Lawrence, when they were in Parliament, including Chelagat Mutai and the others, they did great work for this country. And I don't know what has happened to us of late. Both sides of the aisle, Honorable Speaker, the minority and the majority, we actually get directions from elsewhere. Let's not cheat ourselves. The reason why the other side are speaking this way, it is because it's very easy to speak when you're in the opposition to bash the government. If they were on this side, there would be no difference. We would have done the same on the other side. Honorable Speaker, I believe the reason why the 7 bearded sisters, as Kalwala said, Jalagat Mutai was among them. She was among the 7 and she was a lady. I think what we need to do, those days, the country was a one-party rule. I believe we need to go back there, or we go to party-less, so that we don't have to subscribe to party policies. You come to this house with your symbol and talk as Senator Elgeyo-Marakwet County. You don't get instructions from everybody, because every day, including Bishop Wambua, gets instructions from elsewhere. Let me tell you, this is the truth, Honorable Speaker. I want to say the truth because...
Sorry, the point of order, Senator Wambua.
Speaker, is it in order for Senator Kisang to impute improper motives on the person and character of the Senator of Kitui County, on a member of the clergy, by by misleading this house and this nation that I receive orders from and instructions from somewhere every day. That's what he said. Can you substantiate, Mr. Speaker? Where do I receive these orders and from who?
Senator Kisang.
Yes, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, I know he gets instructions from the people of Kitui. Unless, because the reason why he's in this house is the representatives of the people of Kitui, they would all have been here, but the house is not enough. Honorable Speaker, I think we need to reflect as a house. We need to check ourselves so that we also have independence of the house. We have the judiciary, we have the legislative, and we have the executive. I think it is time now that we need to ensure that we work as per the mandate that the Constitution gives us. Honorable Speaker, I don't want to say much. Mine is just to say we need to go back to those days of Lawrence Sifuna. We need to go to those days of Shukuku. All these people we're talking about, they died poor. But the problem that we have now as legislators, everybody's looking for money. You want to be on the list of billionaires. You want to be on which list? I don't know why. I mean, our salary should be enough. We are overpaid, actually. And if systems work properly, where we don't have to go for Arambes every day, we should be, even that salary that we have should be cut by half. And we will live on it. But because systems are not working well, basically we will have to pay school fees, we have to pay for funerals, we have to pay for all manner of issues. Maybe that is why it is becoming very difficult for us to be independent, because we expected, you want to go to this office, get a contract here, you want to look correct. And even the minority have joined the rest to look correct. Thank you, Honorable Speaker.
Senator Faki.
Asante Mheshimiwa Spika pia kwa kunipa fursa hii kuomboleza mwenda zake Lawrence Sifuna ambaye alihudumu kama mbunge katika bunge la kitaifa. Mheshimiwa Spika, kifo cha mwenda zake Sifuna kimeipokonya nchi hii baadhi ya viongozi wa ukombozi wa pili ambao walijitolea kihali na mali kuhakikisha kwamba tunapata ukombozi wa pili ambao ulikuwa ni ukombozi ambao sote sasa tunaweza kujivunia. Mheshimiwa Spika, kujitolea kwake na wale wengine ambao walipigania ukombozi wa pili akiwemo Baba Raila Amolo Odinga na wengineo ni ushahidi kutosha kwamba wale ambao wamepigania hii nchi wameweza kuipeleka nchi mbele, na kwa sasa tunajivunia kwa demokrasia ambayo tuko nayo nchi yetu ya Kenya. Mheshimiwa Spika, jambo la kusikitisha ni kwamba yale yote ambayo yameweza kupatikana katika ukombozi wa pili, tunaona kwamba katika hali tulionao sasa yote yanaanza kudidimia. Tumeona hivi majuzi Mheshimiwa Spika, baadhi ya rasilimali za nchi kama vile jumba la mikutano la KICC, shirika la Kenya Pipeline na mengineo, Mheshimiwa Spika, yamewekwa kwenye mnada kuuzwa ili atiyasemekana kutasaidia kupunguza madeni ambayo nchi hii iko nayo. Mheshimiwa Spika, pale mashirika haya yalipoundwa ilikuwa kuna umuhimu na kuna dharura ya kuwa na mashirika kama haya. Mheshimiwa Spika, kwa mfano Kenya Pipeline Corporation ambayo imeanza pale Jomvu Scope, Mheshimiwa Spika, karibu na nyumbani kwetu, ni shirika ambalo limechangia pakubwa kupunguza gharama ya mafuta katika nchi yetu ya Kenya, Mheshimiwa Spika, kwa sababu mafuta yanapelekwa na pipeline kutoka Mombasa mpaka Nairobi, Nairobi mpaka Western Eldoret, alafu yanavukishwa nchi ambayo ni rahisi zaidi kuliko kutumia magari kuyatoa Mombasa mpaka Eldoret, Mheshimiwa Spika. Kwa hivyo shirika kama hili ambalo lina kazi muhimu ya kuweza kuhakikisha kwamba bei zetu za mafuta hazikurupuki tukashindwa kulipa, likipelekwa katika mikono ya watu binafsi, Mheshimiwa Spika, itakuwa ni hasara kwa nchi, kwa sababu ni ile ambao huduma ambayo inatoa shirika hili ni huduma ambayo ikipeanwa katika mikono ya kibinafsi, Mheshimiwa Spika, itakuwa sisi wananchi hatuna uwezo wa kuweza kujua kitu gani kinachoendelea na vile vile bei ambazo zinawekwa pale. Mheshimiwa Spika, jambo lingine la kusikitisha pia ni kwamba majuzi shirika la Kenya Petroleum Refineries ambalo pia liko Magongo, Mombasa, lilipelekwa likawekwa pamoja na shirika la Kenya Pipeline Company Limited. Mheshimiwa Spika, kama pipeline ilikuwa yauzwa, kwa nini wakafanya haraka ya kuliunganisha na shirika la Kenya Petroleum Refineries, wakati refineries, Mheshimiwa Spika, kutoka isimamishwa mwaka 2013 mpaka sasa bado, Mheshimiwa Spika, inaendelea kufanya kazi ya kustore mafuta na wanapata faida, ambao faida ile inakwenda kwa serikali. Kwa hiyo Mheshimiwa Spika, tunapoomboleza hayati Sifuna, sisi ambao tuko uongozini sasa, sisi ambao tunawakilisha wananchi wetu hivi sasa, ni lazima Mheshimiwa Spika tuwe mstari wa mbele kulinda maslahi ya nchi, maslahi ya wananchi ambao wametuchagua. Mheshimiwa Spika, hatuwezi kufanya hivyo Mheshimiwa Spika ikiwa sisi tutaangalia maslahi ya kibinafsi. Na nimefurahi hapa Mheshimiwa Spika kwamba Mheshimiwa Chute, Mheshimiwa Matinga wameweza kuona ukweli sasa na wanaendelea polepole kuweza kuokoka, na Mwenyezi Mungu atawasaidia waweze kuokoka na hili lindi ambalo limetanda usoni mwao. Asante sana Mheshimiwa Spika.
I think honorable senators, we will terminate at that point and will allow Senator Edwin Sifuna to speak last on this matter.
Mr. Speaker, let me say thank you very much to Senator Boni Halwale for bringing this statement, and to all my colleagues senators who have spoken in very glowing terms about the late Lawrence Sifuna. On behalf of our entire family, I want to say thank you so much, Mr. Speaker, for also allowing colleagues to mourn this great gentleman. Mr. Speaker, as Honorable Halwale will bear me witness, there is no Luya word for your paternal uncles. There is a Luya word for your mother's brother, but there is no Luya word for your father's brother. We just call them our father. And that is why many people in the country assume naturally that Lawrence Sifuna was my dad. In the family that my father comes from, there were 5 boys, and my father follows the late Lawrence Sifuna. Mr. Speaker, his public exploits are things that people can speak about the whole day. For us, really, we remember him for the things that he taught us at a private and personal level. Mr. Speaker, there's something he used to keep telling us all the time. The first one was that a good name is better than riches. That in fact, Mr. Speaker, we have a responsibility to put the reputation of the name or the name that you bear before anything else. And in fact, as somebody has spoken to here, many of the members of parliament who were elected in the 70s, in the 80s, those people are not rich people. And he used to say this every time, because sometimes we see some jokes and memes on social media where you see children asking their parents, when people were grabbing land on Mombasa Road, when it was still a field, where were you? You know, but not everybody is wired like that. And that name, Sifuna, was brought to the national and international prominence by none other than Lawrence. And it has opened doors for many of us. I think anybody who bears that name, including myself, have seen the benefit of having such a powerful and clean name. It has opened doors for me. I doubt that my path to leadership would have been as easy as it has been if I bore another name other than Sifuna, because everywhere I went in this republic, the moment you mentioned your name, they would ask you if you are related to Lawrence, because that is the guy that he was. He also used to tell us that it's only an open arm that receives things. That in fact, if you receive things and you clench your fist all the time, you don't want to share it with people, you are preventing other things from coming into that same hand. So that you need to be generous with the little that you have. And he was generous to a fault. He would deny himself things. All of us in our family, from his brothers to us, his children and his nephews and his nieces, he took us to school. He had a part in our education. All of us. Nobody who carries that name can say they didn't pass through the hands of Lawrence Sifuna. He liked good things, Mr. Speaker. And I want to say here, he's the one who introduced me to whiskey. Mr. Speaker, for some reason, he believed that a certain brand of whiskey called Bond 7 was the best whiskey in the world. I don't know why.
and he used to drink it with hot water and lime. And for many years, that is how I drank my whiskey, because he could actually make you believe that this is the best whiskey in the world from just describing it. And attending some of his speeches on the podium, it's just that those days we didn't have the sort of filming equipment and TV cameras everywhere like we do now. Uncle Lawrence would move a crowd. And you as politicians know, like when you're speaking, you can tell when you have the people. You can tell when you have captured the imagination. We would leave those rallies, Mr. Speaker, convinced that he was going to win the election. In 1988, I was only 6 years old, Khalwal. I was living in Kitinda village, where my grandmother's house was. And the reason I remember knowing that Lawrence had lost the election in 88 is people just came back wailing. You know, it's as if something or somebody had died. So I remember my grandmother just crying and saying, oh, we have lost the election, this has happened. And the reason Uncle Lawrence was rigged out in 88 is because although he was elected in 79 on a Kanu ticket, he used to speak truth to power. When things were not as right as they should be, he used to stand up the way Senator Omatinga has done today and say that this is something that he would not support. So, Mr. Speaker, I want to thank all of you for the kind words that you have sent. In fact, one of the other things is that he used to tell us cleanliness is next to godliness. And he insisted on cleanliness of body and mind. Mr. Speaker, there's no way, like the way I'm looking right now, I could not go and see Uncle Lawrence. You have to pass by a barber. And of course, Senator Olekina would be kicked out at the gates because that hairstyle on his head, he used to wake up every morning to brush that hair so that it looks as neat as it looks, Mr. Speaker. He really believed that we needed to be presentable all the time. In fact, when I went to Eldoret to collect his body, it was the first time in my life when I saw my uncle unshaven. He used to wake up every morning and he would be clean shaven every time. And he used to insist on that. So I want to take this opportunity to thank members of the House for all your condolences. If you are able to join us on the 16th in Bungoma, we'll be laying him to rest. But up to now, I want to appreciate every single person in the country and even those outside the country who have sent us messages of condolences. I thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you. Before we move to the remaining statements, allow me to make the following communication. I'd like to acknowledge the presence in the Speaker's Gallery this afternoon, a visiting delegation from the County Assembly of Turkana. The delegation comprises 8 members and 5 officers of the Committee on Delegated Legislation who are on a benchmarking visit with a counterpart in the Senate. Now, honorable senators, I request each member of the delegation to stand when called out so that they may be acknowledged in the Senate tradition. The Honorable Philip Ekiwam, the Deputy Speaker. Honorable Mary Arupe Nakapwan. The Honorable Julius Edung Apron. Honorable Aliwo Samuel. Honorable Anaklet Lemuya. Honorable Michael Apem. Honorable Francis Ngimusia. Honorable Martha Nami. Mr. Kevin Brown. Ms. Rhoda Tia Atabo. Ms. Kennedy Lorot. Mr. Makede Mark Lomandang. And lastly, Mr. Justice Ajore. On behalf of the Senate and on my own behalf, I extend a warm welcome and wish you a fruitful visit. Also, I wish to acknowledge the presence in the public gallery this afternoon, a visiting delegation from the Kenya National Union of Teachers NAT, Nandi County branch. The delegation comprises 18 members who are in the Senate for a one-day visit. Honorable Senators, on behalf of the Senate and on my own behalf, I extend a warm welcome to them and wish them a fruitful visit. I will allow the Senator for Turkana under 1 minute to extend some words of welcome, to welcome the delegation from Turkana. And I thought I had seen the Senator for Nandi. Under 1 minute also to extend words of welcome to welcome the NAT delegation in that order. Kindly proceed, Senator.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I join you in inviting MCS, Honorable MCS from Turkana County. Secondly, Mr. Speaker, I know we were in Turkana County for Senate Mashinani, and I know, Mr. Speaker, they have appreciated what we did for visiting, hosting Senate Mashinani in Turkana County. Turkana County, Mr. Speaker, is a cradle on mankind. All who are seated here, we originated from Turkana. So as we prepare for December festive, remember to go to Turkana to identify yourself there as the cradle of mankind. Mr. Speaker, the honorable MCAs are committed in their legislative agenda. Remember, Mr. Speaker, sir, I also want to inform you that whatever we do, God remembers, records what we say. Mr. Speaker, Turkana is a safe of oil. The cost of living that is high now, I know in 10 years coming, the cost of living will be low. I know, Mr. Speaker, the renewable oil, the renewable energy that we have been praying for. The renewable energy, Mr. Speaker, is rich in Turkana. Solar energy, wind energy, Mr. Speaker, and also the wind. Mr. Speaker, sir, as we suffer this time, I know 10 years coming, God will return to Turkana County, and the Turkana County will improve the economy of Kenya. We will stop being supplied with yellow maize. God will remember us, Mr. Speaker, that one time thank you, Mr. Speaker. Madam Speaker, I want us to say, as I finish, Turkana County is a first county, and it is 77,000 kilometers square. Madam Speaker, the members, honorable members who are here, I have a lot of respect for them because they changed my position. They changed my title. I was a MCA. They changed that one to be a member of a National Assembly. They changed that one again. Madam Speaker, they gave me another title, new title now, that called a Senate. And I know, Madam Speaker,
Senator Matthew, you must allow the senator to continue with the journey and express the dream he has on what the people will make him.
thank you, Madam Speaker. What I wanted to say, that the honorable members who have visited us, I want to thank them. Secondly, I want to give them encouragement that the word say everything in this world changes. Even the truth changes one time. Yes, truth will change one time, and false will also change one time. So what I say, they will never remain the same. After 5 years, they will have different titles. They will be in several levels, not the levels they have now. So what I say, Madam Speaker, I seek for support. Madam Speaker.
Please wind up. Please wind up.
Thank you. Thank you, thank you. What I say, Madam Speaker, it is important to learn from the Senate. This is the upper house. So I want to say, to talk to my honorable members who are in the house, that as you visit this house, learn more, and then I go back home, you teach the other people what you are supposed to say. Madam Speaker,
Senators, can we consult in low tones?
Madam
Senator
Speaker,
Sigei,
Madam Speaker, as
resume
I,
your seat.
Madam
And
Speaker,
Senator Kenywa,
Madam Speaker, as I finish,
Senator
I know.
Boni, and Senator Enoch, you're about to be ruled to be out of order.
Thank you, Madam
You cannot
Speaker.
consult like that in the House.
Madam Speaker, I finish. As we go for recess on 7th, I want this house to remember this. Northern Kenya, especially Turkana County, is very insecure. People are dying almost every week. People lose life. So what I wanted to say, as we go for
What is
recess,
your point of
the
order?
government of Kenya must remember that the
Just
bandits.
hold it, Senator Lominen. What is your point of order, Senator Kenywa?
Madam Speaker, I heard the good Senator Lemonen from Turkana saying that the truth changes, and he quoted a certain book. And I don't know what book is that, because, Madam Speaker, what I know, the truth does not change. Even if you bury, it will come out as truth, Madam Speaker. So I don't know which book he quoted. I would want that book so that I can refer to that book. And what he's saying about banditry, that I support him 100%, because we go through that in Laikipia. I support him. But on the truth, Madam Speaker, let him clarify.
Madam Speaker,
Senator Romenen, which book are you quoting?
I did not quote any book, Madam Speaker.
Senator Kenywa, can you be more attentive when the senator
Yes, exactly.
is
I just
debating?
no. I said, Madam
Has
Speaker,
clarified he did not quote a book.
I said, Madam Speaker, this world is dynamic.
Proceed.
This world is dynamic. And I say, Madam Speaker, everything that we do in this world is recorded somewhere. And one time it will be retrieved. I said also, Madam Speaker, that we will be going for recess. And what I request the government and this Senate, our people in Northern are suffering, and the bandits are not aware of the recess, and they will never go for recess. When you go for recess, they will be killing our people. They will be taking our property. So let the government be aware that as we go for recess, the bandits, the terrorism, the Al-Shabaab are not going for recess. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Senator Romenen, you should not speak with such confidence that when you go for recess, the bandits will be killing the people, unless you have proof to that effect. Senator Betty, you have a statement? Cherarige? Oh, Senator Cherarige, before Senator Betty. Senator Betty, resume your seat for a minute. Senator Cherarige was to welcome the delegates from Nandi County.
Thank you. Thank you, Madam Speaker. From the onset, I want to join you and on behalf of the Senate to welcome the Kenya National Union of Teachers, Nandi branch, to this August House. And I know all of them by name and where they come from, Nandi, basically. I'm happy they have come where they need support. Madam Speaker, I join in welcoming them and wish them well as they do what they have to do. They are also working. I'm happy and I want to congratulate them. I'm told they have gotten a new first vice chair. Unfortunately, we lost one in Kericho who used to represent them at the Kenya National Union of Teachers. Madam Speaker, quickly on one or two issues that I want to mention is that the issue of JSS interns. As we talk, we had the CEO of TAC, and Madam Nandi Masharia, Madam Speaker, was grappling because we asked her what will happen with the interns at the expiry of 31st? And yet we want those interns that are on contract teachers must be observed immediately under permanent and pensionable PNP, Madam Speaker. So we don't need, and I think as Parliament, we have appropriated enough resources to TSC to ensure JSS interns and teachers on contracts, Madam Speaker, are also being able to be given opportunity to be on permanent
Senator
pensionable.
Cheradige, can you
Secondly,
confine your comments to welcoming the
no, Madam
delegation?
Speaker, you didn't guide Senator Lomenen. It is still within the purview, and these are teachers. Number two, Madam Speaker, because I mentioned they are teachers and they are lucky. Madam Speaker, number two, Madam Speaker, number two is on the issue of presidential working party reforms. Madam Speaker, I want to call upon the NATS, Kenya National Union of Teachers, to be part of the conversation, Madam Speaker, especially on the issue of presidential working education reforms.
Senator Miraj
I
and
know as we talk,
Senator
Madam
Gloria,
Speaker,
please do not turn this into
I
a
think
market.
as we talk about is the issue of CBC, Madam
Resume your
Speaker,
seats.
Kenya National Union of Teachers have a critical role to play.
See
Article
a point
41,
of
Madam
order,
Speaker.
Senator Faki.
Madam Speaker, but it's not on record. It's not unanswered. Yeah, to speak.
Clerk. Ring the quorum bell for 10 minutes.
The Senate is currently on a quorum bell. This quorum bell was necessitated by the fact that the House at some point after the commencement of business lacked quorum, and the Speaker directed that the quorum bell be rung for 10 minutes for members of the Senate to make their way back into the chamber to allow for consideration of further business before the Senate this afternoon. On your screens is the Senate proceedings, and we await to see if senators will be making their way into the chamber this afternoon, and if indeed that pertinent quorum will be reached and attained for that matter. And if not, we are going to await further directives by the Speaker. Currently, Senator Veronica Maina is the Speaker presiding over the business of the Senate this afternoon, and to just take you through some of the issues for consideration by senators this afternoon is the Tea Amendment Bill, as well as the Equalization Fund Appropriations Bill and the County Licensing Uniform Procedure Bill, Senate Bills number 9 of the year 2022. Various senators were speaking to the motion on the declaration of cattle rustling as a national disaster and establishment of a special fund for victims. This is a motion spearheaded by the Senator for Baringo County, Senator William Cheptumo, and senators who are calling for the address of this particular issue, claiming it has become very rampant in the northern parts of the country, as well as in the among pastoralist communities in various regions in the country. This afternoon session of the Senate was for the better part of the first hour, dominated by the condolence messages for a former late member of parliament. And senators have been, so to speak, sending their condolences to the family of the late Sifuna, known Lawrence Sifuna, who happens to be the uncle for the Nairobi Senator Edwin Sifuna. Given key priority in the Senate business this afternoon, the chair is speaking. Allow me to hand you over.
Having rang the bell pursuant to provisions of Standing Order 42, the Senate stands adjourned until tomorrow, Wednesday, 6th December 2023 at 9:30 a.m.
Tunaingia vijijini, mijini na hata jijini kukuletea taarifa mchana kutwa. Usiku tunaketi kitako, tunadadavua tukichanganua taarifa na makala muhimu yanayokuhusu wewe na familia yako. Ungana na Bernard Ngozi kwenye Open Forum Political Show kuanzia saa 4 usiku hadi dakika zake kila siku ya wiki kwenye Sound Cali Talk. Tukutane Sound Cali Talk.
Sisi vilevile sio watu ambao wanataka ugomvi kwa sababu ya ugomvi.
Niwaambia nyinyi ni wajinga mkimpata Ruto. Mkadhani tunawadanganya.
Jeti ya Ruto. Hii maisha ya Ruto ni stress na ni stress.
Mungu wewe umetukosea.
Sasa tumesema siku ya Jumatano. Mko tayari? Mko tayari? Tumesema sisi si majambazi.